simply because you end up... Oh, hang on.
Levi got caught out a couple of times last time, and he's caught out again. BeanJ and Glory trying to answer it.
But, oh, bien.
Go for a dive in the mid lane, and that is going to be Kati going down. Absolutely shredding the health bar here as Glory flies in as well. Trying to deny the flash here, Ignite, burning away. The first strike is there! Dragging down that soul. Bia gets a great crash down onto the backline, and GAM are gone before the fight's even begun. Levi gets one on the backside, but it's nowhere near enough. BeanJ finishing them off.
The VCS Autumn Final, Worlds Play-Ins 2023 continues here. We're all tied up at 1-1. Team Wales just smashed GAM in game number 2. Raz, what happened?
Don't ask me, ask this man.
We
Goldborg,
are
what happened?
trillionaires, baby. The whales are back. We're chilling. I was just sitting there listening to some relaxing whale noises. And,
Oh
we were
my
just, it was a
God.
walk in the park, a swim in the ocean, whatever you want to call it. Water was shallow, no waves, really. We're just cruising through it, weren't we?
We got overconfident. That's what happened.
Okay.
We had a top lane advantage. The CS difference
Wait,
was
so
pretty
you had a top
massive.
lane advantage? Because I remember a solo kill coming through from, what was that, Sparda?
It was the turret that was doing the majority of the work.
The turret.
We'll get to
Yeah,
it. We'll
I hate
get
when that
to it,
happens.
okay?
I think we need to get to it right now, as a matter of fact. We're pushing this forward. Like, you're right, Kiaya had a massive advantage, but then threw it all away with his dive.
I was going to say as well, I think, once again, I want to put this out there. I think Kiaya's, in the entire tournament so far, has by far been the better top laner. But
Okay, stop him right there.
in this series right here, that is just Sparda who's been popping off. And I think he was the guy I had the most question marks coming into this series with, especially because he was going to go up against Kiaya.
Yeah.
But when he is on K'Sante, they just cannot stop him. He keeps getting kills for himself. He keeps being a menace in the team fights. He keeps getting solo kills. You have to stop this guy.
Yes, it's crazy to see what Sparda is doing to him. And even just seeing the player reactions, specifically zeroing in on Kiaya, a little bit of tilt because he knows he's doing well in the matchup, and then he throws it away. But Sparda, who I think has turned into a star, it feels like getting beaten up a little bit by Adam and then turning it in the later portion of the series, and then also he's doing it this series from the very beginning.
You would have expected, the Jax comes in, you're sort of losing the lane. Enemy Lee Sin was on the top side of the map as well. Like, by all accounts, going for a dive in that situation makes sense with the proximity of your jungler.
Yes.
But he outplays that a couple of times now. He's on a roll.
And it also just brings us to the point that I think everyone probably has been screaming at their scream as of today. Just ban the K'Sante.
Ban the K'Sante.
Just, it just gives you superpowers. It makes you way better than you actually are when you play K'Sante. I'm willing to die on that hill. I think Sparda is stepping up. I think he's certainly shown some good movements. But in the VCS, he was an Aatrox. He was a Renekton. Those were the kind of champions he would play. And he'd be very flippy with it. He'd take risks and chances. And if he lost, well, he would straight up lose and just lose the lane from there and maybe sometime the team the game. But when he's on a champion on K'Sante, he's way more stable. It's not even neutralizing. It's just a free win. Get rid of it and put him in a different spot where Kiaya can be in a comfort zone and he can actually beat Sparda.
Well, let's talk specifics here, because now we've got the draft up on our screen, and GAM, to the surprise of myself at least, decided to stick on to blue side with side selection choice. I was thinking maybe you just go red side, you leave the K'Sante open, and you make sure you have counter pick for it. But they're electing to go to blue again, which means, do you want to see first phase K'Sante banned?
I think they can swap out the Alistar and then actually remove that with K'Sante instead, because the Alistar ban really hurt them going into this game. When they ban Alistar on 3, first pick a Xayah, well, all of a sudden, the Rell priority is absolutely insane. You keep the Flex alive, but you also just remove the hardest counter to this champion. So I think if you leave the Alistar and Rell both open, you can at least swap the Alistar if the Rell gets picked through, and you can have K'Sante ban, where you get Kiaya in a comfort matchup. So I think that's the easiest one to remove.
Yeah, one of the negatives that you get on red side is that you are kind of in locked bans for OPs that you don't want to give away. They feel like they have a wealth of option. The ban on Syndra was great from Team Wales, so that hurts a little bit deep down. But I know Kati can stand back up. I think that the 5 picks that we've been seeing from Team Wales has been really helping them. The Taliyah pick has been actually accelerating the game a lot from the early leads. I will say one thing and one thing alone.
Say it.
Raptors is killing a lot of the VCS junglers.
That is very true.
Raptors has been claiming a lot of lives. We cannot be invading Raptors anymore.
I wonder how many times those Raptors have killed the jungle. There was Croc yesterday.
Yes.
We had Croc dying to those Raptors before Baron yesterday.
Yes.
Levi 2 times already to
2
those
times
Raptors.
in the same game.
Can we get a stat check on those Raptors? I swear they've been killing more junglers.
I thought the whales were going to be the dominant animal today, but apparently it is just the Raptors coming in. You know, speaking of those junglers, I just wanted to sort of throw out there, like, Viego's now had a couple of solid games.
Yes.
Do we feel like priority on a champion like that could be raised? Because I think especially in the fights it's looked good. It also didn't get outplayed really early on by the Lee.
I think it's interesting because I think it's kind of like a butterfly effect of what the meta shaped up to be. As soon as Maokai and Sejuani goes out of the way and there's a Lee Sin coming through instead, that means Viego, the skirmishing power he suddenly has, becomes way more relevant than it would be against the Maokai, where Maokai will just W, old CC chain, and he can't really play the game. But in this instance where the champions are so squishy, you get way more resets on the ultimate. It becomes way easier to play the game. And I think that if they're going to go down the same route where these is the trade-off between a Lee Sin and Viego, I think the Viego is just going to be dominant every time.
I think the only way in which we change the pick bans is by early picking jungle, which has been usually standard. We have been having earlier picks on top lane, with Jax being second round picks. So if that's going to be the change up, if we say, hey, you know what, let's early pick something for Levi and then we'll hold top lane pick for 4-5, then maybe we'll see a switch up. With how the early game has been going, GAM, I feel like, have a reason to be stubborn. Their bot lane, which was the question mark going into this series, has actually been pretty stable because of the Xayah pick. So they've been really happy about that. It's more so just the level of play on the top side. Kiaya just needs to change how he's playing the matchup. Yes, I think K'Sante is really difficult to play in if you just make one mistake. So that, I think, is the change up. That's the one ban that I think they go for. Give them the Ahri. I don't care about Ahri pick.
Okay.
I think that's the one change up you make, is that you ban the Ahri. I mean, you ban the K'Sante, leave the Ahri open. If they pick Ahri, then I'm happy about that. It's been one of the failures in the tournament as a pick.
All right. You know, it's Glory's most picked champion. You're not a bit scared of giving to a high key, like, world's #1 mid laner like Glory.
I'm happy with that.
So you say ban the Ahri, you say, or leave the Ahri open, you say leave the All-Star open. Both of you say ban K'Sante. We will see what GAM say. It's over to Munch and Dagda for Game 3.
Thanks very much, guys. Yeah, we're here. We're ready. Game 3 coming. We've got a series, not just on our hands, all over our hands, with how messy this series has been so far. Honestly, Ali, I wish we had some hand sanitizer in here.
Wash off,
yeah, it's a nightmare. No, absolute banger, though, so far. And I couldn't agree more with the desk. K'Sante's got to go.
Yeah, I think K'Sante's just been such a big pick for Sparda and kind of just keeping Kiaya at bay. I mean, Kiaya was such a strong component for them yesterday, where we saw him having a fantastic performance on the Nara, but unfortunately hasn't been able to have that same performance coming into today, just simply because he's up against the K'Sante. So I wouldn't be surprised to see that taken off the board. I kind of agree. I think Alistair is probably the ban that you do want to try and drop. I think I'm on Team Raz here, but I do want to see, as we start to go into this, what the game plan is going to be, because there is the Ahri ban still coming through here, as Team Wales will still be on the red side coming into this Game 3.
So, Syndra taken away from Kati. Both mid laners demanding a ban from the opposite team. And that's the question, I guess. We always talk about how drafts develop over a series. Do we end up with just more and more solo lane bans? It's a jungle ban here in the Viego. It won the matchup against Lee Sin both games so far. GAM deciding they don't want to deal with it anymore.
Wonder if it's going to be the Maokai still going through. And now, is this a K'Sante ban? Or do we still get kind of the same rotation coming through, where it's you leave open the K'Sante, Team Wells leave open the Xayah, and you get that first rotation Xayah coming through here for Slayder?
We'll have to find out what they're going to go for.
There it is. Okay.
K'Sante confirmed, taken off the board. What does Sparda do next is the question. What else does he have up his sleeve? And can he have this level of performance on a different pick? Because I think that's the real question. We know that he can, you know, he's certainly not going to be incapable of playing another champion. It's whether or not he can pop off in the way that he has been on K'Sante.
Yeah, I think even just stabilizing the top lane, though, is enough for Sparda. Like, as long as Kiaya isn't getting leads, he's not having that impact. And a lot of this team fight and kind of early stages is being defined by, you know, BeanJ and BA working together towards glory. So I think as long as he can keep himself in check, it's going to be all good. We'll have to see exactly what the game plan is going to be, though, because again, Xayah rotation still coming through with the Rakan still being banned away. So I imagine it will still be something like the Kaisa, and then the question mark is if they want to go towards the Rell again, which was the first pick in that last rotation. It looks like if it ain't broke, maybe don't fix it.
Yeah, I mean, Team Wales, they were on the red side previously. They played with Artemis on the Xayah, with the Rell for Beer. Certainly feels like a strong rotation. And there we go, the Jarvan as well, taken up by BeanJ. And basically say, look, Levi, you've banned the Viego. If you want that Lee Sin, have it. But I'm going to play something a little tanky, something that has some presence in that early game.
Yeah, and now it is kind of a question mark for me, is like, how do you want to try and play this? Because what we've seen from a lot of teams, particularly like the BCS teams, a little bit from the VCS teams, is this Neeko Jarvan combo. That has been banned away on the next rotation pretty consistently by GAM, as it looks like they'll go towards the Jax. But I think there is an opportunity here for Team Wales to say, hey, look, we can maybe sack bot lane. We'll expect a Xayah ban. Maybe we can actually go back towards a lot of the lane bullies that I think are actually quite strong, like the Lucians and that kind of stuff, if they want to try and go towards it. But maybe getting this Neeko for Glory is worth it. We'll just have to see if they have that thought process, if they're like, no, Xayah's just too strong. We need to keep our control over bot lane.
Want to see. Is Kati actually going to go for the Nautilus in the end? Kiaya having that Jax. We'll see what the priority is for Wales here, because on the one hand, obviously Xayah, like I think that goes without saying at this point, but yeah, strong solo lane in the mid lane for Glory, or also getting a good matchup for Sparda in the top side against Levi against Kiaya's Jax. Sorry, it is going to be the Xayah locked in the end.
Yeah, you could see the thought process was there. Maybe we just go for the mid laner instead, but not going to be the case. They're like, look, Xayah needs to be able to battle against the Xayah in the early stages. We'll have to see if we can actually find that control here, because I thought we'd actually get the Alistar, honestly, for Palace. I think it works super well against the Rell, and also just gives the opportunity to kind of keep Jarvan out of the fight in a lot of different moments as well. But instead opting towards the, hey, we want the point and click CC for the expected Xayah coming through. Jungle ban's going to be the big lock away here, though. Nocturne gone. Maybe the Sejuani here again for Levi to just get rid of more of that front line. And then the question is, do we just get the return to the Lee Sin? Because that kind of seems to be the next tier down when we get to junglers.
I will say, Lee Sin across playoffs so far, 7-1, and the 7 is for the losses. It's only one win for Lee Sin. Already lost twice in this series to buff up that statistic. If I'm either of these teams right now, with the way that it's looked across this series, I mean, I don't think Lee Sin was inherently the problem, but I don't think it's working either.
I'm not going to lie. Poppy feels like it should have been a Team Wales ban. I would be like, you know what, Levi, Poppy? Maybe he's actually a good go-to here. You know, stop the Jarvan, the Rell, the Xayah, like a lot of those opportunities, but instead they're actually going to ban away themselves, not wanting Sparda to get on the top side. Is a good matchup into the Jax, so it does make a little bit of sense, but now I am curious if Sparda just decides to opt back in towards things like the Renekton along those lines. Obviously, Jax does have the outscaling, but at least will allow Sparda to neutralize some of the early pressure and see if he can play in towards that. Aatrox kind of fitting that description as well, but yeah, we'll go towards the Renekton.
So, important statistic here when it comes to Sparda on the Renekton is his most played by a significant margin. Across summer, he played it 21 times. However, he's not got a great win rate, 38% win rate. Ooh. He has had a hard year on the Renekton. It's not necessarily been his best pick. We'll see if he can kind of shirk those expectations, because, I mean, across this tournament so far, Sparda has absolutely stepped up above what we were expecting. And now, Kati changing things up and going for the Jayce in the mid lane.
Okay, I actually wasn't sure if they're going to go for the Ivern in the jungle there to try and match that, but instead they're just going to go back towards the Sejuani. So you kind of get some mixed damage coming out from the Sejuani and the Jax enough to try and make up for your AP damage, so won't be as difficult, but still nice here from GAM. You're going to have a ton of opportunities to try and play for skirmish on this top side of the map, and we'll have to see exactly. I don't think the ASAL can really stand up to Jayce. I'd be surprised to see this locked in, even though it's hovered.
We'll have to see. We'll wait for the lock-in. There it is. It's going to be the I nearly called her Rell then. It's going to be the Taliyah in the mid lane for Glory to try and get roaming, try and get out on this map. A different look here for Wales and what they're bringing to the table. But I'm excited to see how this is going to pan out. And also GAM bringing this Jayce. Kati very much changing the conversation from the Victor that was played last game.
I mean, this is definitely a more aggressive take, trying to see if you can play for a poke, and I think this is where you can have some opportunities, especially with the engage from the Nautilus to try and get a knock up onto, say, Artemis, and then you follow up with the Accelerate Shock Blast. You've got great ability to even use those acceleration gates to speed up the team to follow up on engages. But it definitely means that for GAM, you need to try and play through this mid-jungle particularly hard because, again, you've got a very, very strong teamfight combo coming in on Team Wales, and it feels like if you don't get control in the early stages, immobile Jayce, immobile Xayah against what is a very aggressive Jarvan that can cover a lot of distance is going to make it kind of tough for you to play that long-range poke style.
Now I was just perusing a few statistics here back there, and you know, Kati, we've not seen him playing the Jayce here at the World Championship just yet. However, across summer, he has played 7 times, in fact. And he's yet to lose a game on the Jayce this summer. He's been looking fantastic. 4 KDA, 100% win rate. 7-0 on the Jayce domestically. And, you know, usually the question is, you know, you've done that domestically, can you do it internationally? This is a domestic match. He is essentially still playing domestically on this Jayce, so we'll see what he can do. Kati being very much a shining light for his team across this series. Let's see if GAM can get back on the horse.
The domestic grudge match coming in hot for both these sides. We'll have to see if, as you say, GAM could try and bounce back after that last loss, or well, actually, to continue what has been kind of the story of the times these teams have faced off the best of 5, where 3-1 over towards GAM. But Team Wales, I mean, they've looked like a very different beast coming in towards play. It's been fantastic to see the growth that we've got. Even the link-up that we've seen through BeanJ and BA has been fantastic in the last game. And I really hope that they get to continue that play forward coming into this.
See if they can keep that rolling. Team Wales as well, looking to build a reputation. This is their first international tournament as an organization. BeanJ coming over from the sort of collapse of Saigon Buffalo back in spring. That somewhat super team from the region dispersing among other teams. You know, Team Secret getting a lot stronger from that as well. But Team Wales getting BeanJ and becoming a much stronger unit because of it. But so far, slower early game here. No early vision on either side.
I was going to say, even the fact that Team Wales are in this position, right? Like, they had to do a run through their playoffs, beating out the 3rd, 4th, and 5th seed to make sure that they could actually get here. Coming in, it was not an easy road. They had 2 best-of-5 series that went the full distance, and then unfortunately losing out in the finals in that 4-game series. Like, it has been a lot of games for this squad. And now performing massively, stepping up on this international stage. We'll have to see which one of these teams is going to represent the VCS in the main stage of Worlds. And I think even for the region of VCS, like, this has got to be such a proud moment. This has been so long where even, like, for guys like Artemis, right, 2021, he kind of denied his opportunity to play on an international stage because of COVID. They've had so many issues getting to an international stage, and now they are guaranteeing themselves once more to play with the big boys and see if maybe they can have that upset like we saw against Top Esports. You know, just throw a little bit of curveball into the mix there.
And I mean, the thing is, that was, you know, that was in the group stage previously. We don't have a group stage anymore.
Yeah.
It's Swiss now. So it's changing things up. One of these teams is going to make it to that part of the tournament. Beer taking a huge chunk there, not quite respecting the level 2 that was hitting Pallet, flashing forwards to punish.
It's actually even just a flash forward before the level 2 came through from Pallet. So nicely done there to just make sure he could actually get a little bit of a little bit of control over this lane. Set B behind. He'll burn both of his pots there to make sure that he's going to be in an okay spot. And even though BeanJ, he's immediately moving down here. He wants to take the gank here. Or at least cover even for a potential dive.
Yeah. He's worried that Levi is down here trying to go for the dive. It's not going to happen. And
can he sneak past him?
I mean, the thing is, there's so many minions here. Like, Artemis will miss out on a lot of gold if they don't get a kill off of this gank. It could be disastrous. For the side of Team Wales, they're going to get the knock-up onto Pallet. He already used his flash, but Beer's just going to go down anyway. 2!
Wait, 2? 2?
3! Slayder! Can't quite find the second one. Artemis trading here. Slayder and Artemis, they won't be able to finish any further kills off. BeanJ gets out by the skin of his teeth.
Barely able to escape away from that one. Great turnaround from GAM. And again, oh, actually, hang on, Glory, you're in so much trouble.
Does have his flash available, but luckily, they'll just sort of position it out on this one.
Yeah, going to be able to back away, but again, really nice play on the bot side. As you said, Artemis, you can see in the CS, misses out on all those minions to try and make that play happen. And the fact it went as disastrously as it did means that it's a big win for GAM. And look at BeanJ, right? He's also behind. Only cleared out that red on the top side, so he has to go back up to the top end of the map to try and make sure that he can just catch up on double the CS amount that Levi has with picking up both those scuttle traps.
It's a brutal start, honestly, for Team Wales. And to be honest, both games previously have been looking good for Wales to start the game off, but this time not so much. Artemis has sums available, flash, cleanse, both used, and he'll still go down. Slayder was tanking, so he has to flash out. Now a TP coming on through as well. Beer trying to keep them in the play as Glory arrives on the scene, looking for the stun to set up for the flick back here. Glory getting some damage down. He's waiting for them to get over the wall. Doesn't want to use his flick until Levi has already used the gap closer that secures the kill. BeanJ chasing for more, but it's at least a second for Wales.
One kill going across to Glory does help out, but Slayder, he way overextended.
No flash available for Bia, but he's got the movement speed. That's a shattering strike. BeanJ should be able to finish this one. No flash available for him. There's the knock-up, and Glory getting both. He's gorgeous for Wales.
Greedy Slayder ends up overextending on that bot side. Could have just backed away. And I was about to say, even though it was a 1-for-1, it works out well for GAM, right? Because you get the kill and you end up burning Artemis's opportunity to pick up all that CS in the bot lane. And as long as you back away at that stage, you're in good shape. But because you end up with Slayder overextending, another kill going across, and specifically to Artemis, means he's able to correct some of that gold discrepancy in that bot lane. And now it'll help massively for Team Wales to even up that gold difference.
Glory as well, get 2 kills. Really going to accelerate. Now, we can take another look as BeanJ just pretty much gets to walk in. Oh, this is the first play, in fact.
I mean, level 3 versus level 2, you get so much extra gold value from your stats on those plays when you have that level advantage when they play it perfectly. Artemis gets a good flash here. Holiday actually hooks himself out of range. Slayder's forced to flash, but at this stage, just back it up. Call it a day. Like, you know that you're in a terrible spot with the first move coming through from BeanJ and the TP onto the bottom side as well. So just try and escape wherever you can. But with Slayder then overextended, try and push the wave in and get that collapse. He ends up overextending and catching himself out.
Slayder needed to, like I say, call it a day on that one. Needed to back away. Flag and drag, knocks it up. Glory with the flick back off the back of it. Perfect combo. And I have to say, that trio of champions, Jarvan, Rell with the Taliyah, it's impossible to get away if they get onto and Sparda. He's got onto Kiaya. Not again. Surely not again. Forces the flash. Sparda, he owns this top lane matchup. Pallet now moving into the bottom side, but Bia dodges.
Yeah, I mean, Kiaya has had a terrible time against Sparda. Now trying to see... Oh, that's the kill!
Oh my god! The counter-strike comes on through. Sparda wanted the solo kill. BeanJ, he'll get an assist on this one, but it is all Sparda all day long, Dagda.
This is so messy from Kiaya. Tries to stay underneath the tower, but Sparda was so strong. Even the level up coming through isn't enough to save him. Will get the plate, gets the kill. The wave is now missed as well, and you can see already that the Gore Drinker is going to be well underway now. I think they would have liked to give that kill to Sparda. May actually just be shy of the Gore Drinker. Yeah, it looks like he is. But even then, this is a big, big win for the Croc on the top side. That 31% win rate looking a little bit better this time around.
Yeah, he's looking to remedy that. And honestly, I feel like that's a great allegory for this tournament in general. Sparda was a player that didn't come in with massive expectations. Kiaya, the opposite side of that story. But here today, we're seeing this slow build from Team Wales. It's the story of each individual series, but it's also the story of their grander tournament.
I need to see if Team Wales, though, can try and keep this pressure up. Because on bot side, it becomes very, very difficult to try and make the same plays we got in the last game, where you're like, oh, let's try and rotate BA around the map, because we just don't have the control that we want around our bot side. That's why when you even look at it, it's first push for Slayder and Pallet on that bot lane, so they rotate up to Rift Herald, and Team Wales aren't even going to try and contest this, which I think is the right call. But it has to be a case of, okay, now let's try and continue to play around Sparda, which is a very different look for them. We'll try to see if we can put Kiaya behind, get some turret plates, and then have this Croc be an absolute menace when we hit that mid-game point, especially if we can start to contest for, say, second Dragon, because we've already got a Gore Drinker complete onto Sparda. He still has his flash to try and play for that Dragon fight.
More stuff here, but GAM at least getting some advantages, right? Getting the Herald, getting that first Drake. They've got some positives to talk about. Take a good old chunk there from Artemis. I don't think they're in a position where they can dive the Jayce, but then again, BeanJ's moving down. They've already got good damage onto Kiaya. In the meantime, Sparda going to try and clear the way with the top side. CC chain is there. I mean, he doesn't get to move. and it's another kill. BeanJ grabbing this one is now Sparda. You're gonna have to use that Dominus. 1v3 under the tower. It's the opposite side of the map, but he's not been poked down. He's slowly but surely clearing this wave. Here we go. CC chain comes on in. He needs the sustain, and he gets it. Dashing on out, Slayder flashes to find the kill, secure it for GAM, and slam down the Herald.
Slayder tries to, or actually gets the kill, but for Sparda, he needed to just back away. It's like, look, we got the win on bot side. We can actually call this a day, but Burning Flash still going down, and now you're getting those turret plates for Slayder on that top side. He's just a GAM coming out again on top thanks to that Rift Herald.
Slayder securing it. That Xayah flash, though, can be very valuable later on, but a huge influx of gold on the side of GAM. Playing cross-map here, and it feels tense.
Kiaya didn't even get to use Counter-Strike.
No.
He was like, I'm just going to wait a little bit to be all right. But here, like Sparda, I actually would have preferred if he's kind of thinking a couple of steps ahead. Because, yes, you can look to outplay this, and maybe you can get a kill, right? Or you can turn something back. But realistically, you want that flash for the next team fight that we're talking about at Dragon. If you can have your TP up and available, which will be in just a minute's time for that, and you've got the flash, suddenly you can flash onto Kati, you can flash onto Slayder, you can have a lot more threat in these fights, but not having that is going to make it significantly easier now for Slayder to play out these engages, especially with the cleanse. He can try and step away from BeanJ as well, although should still be locked up now that he's flashless himself. But I think it's just kind of taking that, like, hey, on a Renekton, the flash is so much more valuable than you consider another champion is.
Yeah. And you know, you can talk about the fact that Slayder flashed as well, but ultimately, Sparda didn't make Slayder flash. Yeah. Slayder flashed to get the kill. That's not like, I'm not sure we can give Sparda the credit for that flash. That was more Slayder making that choice to go aggressive, get that kill. 15 seconds on that Drake that we've been talking about. And we'll see if BeanJ, if Bia, if Glory can punish the fact that the AD carry is flashless.
Yeah, you do have an opportunity, at least if Sparda starts to back away here, because he should have his Gore Drinker. Very late reset, though, means that GAM will actually, as you see in mid lane with Glory reset, should be able to get control over River just ahead of this Dragon. They could actually burst it down now, knowing that there's no TPs on the solo laners, but I don't think they've actually copped that the solo laner has reset here for Glory, so a little bit of a messy one here from GAM, where they just don't have the vision to figure out that, oh, we actually had an opportunity to make a play there.
Yeah. Nice thing for Wales as well is Glory get back to that mid lane, but even if he's just sort of halfway up the lane, can always ult over towards that Drake. Does mean you can't use the Weaver's Wall in the fight, but it's better to be there than not, that's for sure. Sparda trying to get another point on the top side as Kiaya pushes him away, but Drake started in the bottom side. Bia caught here, does get a good stun across the team, but he's taking so much damage. The crash down, the gravity storm, he actually keeps himself alive now, and a blast going out to safety. In the meantime, Kati's low, and Artemis knows it. Goddess of the hunt and wants those kills, wants blood, wants food on the table. His pallet dashes away, 2 more for Wales.
Team Wales once more coming alive, and that one great hook from Pallet onto Bia sets up the play. And now Sparda baits out the Counter-Strike. Ult is there, doesn't have the flash to follow underneath, and with the minion wave gone, we'll just set up for the plate when the next minion wave walks up.
GAM finding it hard in these more grouped fights so far this game. Kati going down here. Will be a Drake for Wales, and that the neutral objective advantage that we've been seeing sort of building up for GAM now will be sort of halted in its tracks. Having that first Drake will help in terms of slowing down the soul, but even still not ideal.
I still keep my eyes on that top side, because Sparda ended up taking 3 tower shots off the back of it to try and stop Kiaya's reset. See if maybe he could get the play. But here, GAM started up, seeing that there's the Taliyah in mid lane. But again, as you said, Weaver's Wall to try and come across here means that she's actually able to get into position. And GAM end up getting caught in the middle of this Jarvan ultimate, whereas it's Jayce who's overextended because he actually ends up on the opposite side of the wall, so has to go forward because there's no real way for him to back out. That means that Team Wales are able to follow up really effectively.
And let's talk about the evolution of BeanJ and Bia from game number 1 to now. Like, that play where they're setting up Bia, managing to mostly avoid the CC, managing to survive, managing to get his whole combo off. BeanJ then Cataclysm in. Like, that's what we want to see. Game number 1, they were both individually getting caught out. Didn't feel like they were on the same page. Maybe just needed a warm-up game to kind of wake up and get on the same page as a team, but it feels fantastic to watch now.
And now Rift Herald in 30 seconds time. GAM once more trying to see if they can set up for this. Do have mid priority, but Sparda just having completed his Gore Drinker alongside BeanJ means that they're in such a strong spot, and I really don't know if GAM can actually take the fight against them, which is where you can see them kind of going, all right, let's instead push mid to try and lean into bot side and terror dive Glory off the back of this bot side push.
This Jayce is starting to hit. You can see the Duskblade finished off, and Glory, I mean, that's like a quarter, a third of his HP. Every accelerated shock blast. Ooh. A snapshot a little bit more even for GAM this time. The advantage in the hands of Slayder. That's going to be crucial.
Yeah, we'll have to see what Slayder can do, though, because, I mean, Slayder's kind of been a bit doubted coming over from GAM. He's still an all-star AD carry, but hasn't been able to live up to the same level as, say, Artemis, who's kind of considered the top dog when it comes towards AD carries in the region. So I think this is the moment where Slayder, it's time for you to prove that you do belong in that conversation. And in this game alone, this is your moment to step up. You've been given the resources. What can you do? Or do you get a chance?
I was going to say, he's not going to be a part of the play. Levi caught out, taken down. That'll be Herald secured for the side of Team Wales. Kati at least gets to crash a wave, gets to finish off the tier 1 in the bottom side, but realistically, that doesn't feel like enough. If BeanJ can get this Herald down in the mid lane, tier 1 bot for tier 1 mid is not an even trade.
Not even close, and I mean, they may even get a kill on towards Kiaya in the top side if he doesn't back away. Multiple members of Team Wales moving up, even the Reaver's wall to try and get in behind them.
This is going to be tough for Kiaya if they commit to the play. BeanJ in the area, but with the ward and Tribrush, they decide this ain't it. Pallet moving over, you see Kati moving over as well. They're going to back away for the time being. Artemis crashes that wave. They've won a fight, they've got a bit of gold, go back for a reset, get those items on the board.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be looking towards Dragon in just 2 minutes time, but for GAM, I mean, Levi isn't even strong enough, has the Radiant Virtue completed, but he's still very, very squishy when you've got that much damage that can go his way, and the burst damage as well, so he's got to back it up and be a little bit more careful. I actually thought that they'd hold on to this Rift Herald for a little bit to try and use it for the second Drake, but for themselves, well, third Drake, but instead just going to immediately try and toss this one down. And when you've got control over mid, and it looks like control over bot side as well, again, Kiaya does need to be careful, because there's a lot of members that could try and come down here, but they're just trying to see if they can get all these outer turrets down and then use the minion waves and the push they have to keep GAM in check regardless.
Yeah, speaking of that Drake and T, Levi, moving into the mid lane to make sure that they're pushing that wave as fast as possible, not losing control of the mid lane, and therefore the river following up. BeanJ just chasing Levi out of his jungle. As actually Sparda starting to lose out in this match. It does feel like Kiaya starting to come online a little bit. Sparda went quite aggressive to look for that tower, and Kiaya punished.
Yeah, the Divine Thunder are definitely going to help. This is kind of the point where you start to have a lot more control as the Jax and also start to get your resistances coming through, but for Team Wales, I think they're still in a great spot. In fact, you've got so much on the rest of your squad hang on.
Stun comes out, BeanJ the target here, knocked up, still surviving the Gore Drinker, no! Kicked sideways, it's Kati to finish that one off, and Glory goes down! A shutdown into the pocket of Kati. You couldn't have asked for more for the side of GAM.
Feeling a little bit like game 1, Team Wales. They overextend on the side, and suddenly it's GAM who come alive, catching out BeanJ and Glory. They don't have the help from BA to get up there, as he was trying to help Artemis push in mid lane, so just not quite getting the waves in check, not having that vision control down, and it's GAM who respond well.
Suddenly, things feeling a little bit better for GAM with the timing of that. A, they get themselves back in control of the gold lead, but B, this Drake spawning onto the map with Glory currently not on the map, with BeanJ only just respawning. I was going to say GAM should have the advantage. They do have Kati up in the top lane right now, and he's ooh.
That's what I was going to say. No mana available. Kati does need to actually reset. You can see Glory's just going to be able to pick up this top side, but he'll be able to TP into the fight as well. So, and Levi having no ultimate because he just used it up top side means that GAM actually don't have the things they need available for this next fight. Even Pallas not having ultimate. So this is where Team Wales will have an opportunity to just get themselves a second dragon without GAM being able to contest because they made that pick up top.
I feel like this is the part of League of Legends that a lot of people in solo queue never seem to acknowledge, is that tempo matters. If you make a play on the top side, the enemy often can make a play towards the bottom lane. BeanJ caught out, Glory caught out. It's a great play and a fantastic hook there from Pallet as well.
Yeah, I mean, it works out perfect. Kati even getting the knockback onto the flag and drag from the Jarvan means that he's able to take him down. But I do agree with you. This is kind of where people start to realize, oh, wait, if we actually do commit all these ultimates in place to the top side, we just don't have the power when it comes to the next fight. So even though we got some kills, we haven't spent that gold. We might have better position, but I mean, if a Jarvan comes in and you've already got the setup with like BA and Artemis able to use everything that they need to, you're just not going to have a good time as GAM.
Certainly not. Kati having a much better game as well. Although, to be fair, damage-wise, he was doing great in the previous game, but couldn't turn those fights. But now getting A, the shutdown onto Glory, but B, getting solo gold on that tower in the top lane as well. He's going to be feeling quite strong, and his Muramana is a singular ability away from stack to this point. There we go. That bonus damage, and it goes straight into the face of BeanJ.
So it's just actually stacking the tiers of BeanJ for the goddess. That actually helped out here coming through, but really nicely done. Coming through for GAM, get the pick that they need. And again, this is starting to feel like game one. Very good start from Team Wales. They get to the mid game, and it's pick onto BeanJ, pick onto Glory, pick onto BeanJ. Like, this is starting to become a pattern. It might be more, actually, as the Weaver's Wall is coming through.
They're actually committing to this at a man disadvantage. Kiaya has a free flank on this one as Sparda finally gets into the play. He's on to Slayder here, but he's alone in the play. The rest of the team forced away. I mean, Team Wales opting into a 4v5.
And it came back to bite them. I mean, Flash now burned and TP on Sparda. You have no control over the map. And, I mean, this is literally what happened in the last game. 20 minutes on the clock and GAM started to look towards that Baron after they got a couple of picks. They won't turn towards it immediately, trying to bait Team Wales in, and they catch BeanJ.
Does get the flag and drag to safety, keeps himself alive for now. GAM going to try and rinse and repeat as Levi and Kati separated to the top side. There we go, resets. Will come on through. They can't commit to the Baron play.
Kiaya getting control over this bot side though, again starting to shove in. This is exactly what GAM need. It's buying time for Kiaya to eventually outscale Sparda when he does hit this second item, the Spear of Shojin. Should be in a really, really good spot. Levi as well, now starting to build up even the Warmogs. He's going to have more of a health bar that's going to be for Team Wales to contend with. It's starting to get tough now for Team Wales, and the team fight and the opportunities that they had are starting to disappear. When you're just giving across picks like this, giving that tempo advantage to GAM, so they can set up plays, set up picks, get the tower down. They didn't quite get in mid lane because Team Wales had all committed towards the TPs and trying to save that turret, but it's still a lot invested by Team Wales to just keep themselves somewhat on the map.
So, just a minor gold lead here. GAM, 1,500 ahead at 21 minutes. 2 minutes until that Ocean Drake comes online, and that's really the sort of remaining advantage for the side of Wales. Artemis going to be knocked up. The whole gang getting knocked up to try and block for Artemis. For the hook wide from Pallet, so they'll walk away.
I'm kind of impressed that Pallet managed to find somewhere to miss that hook. Like, with everyone in the way, like, I assume that was...
With Nautilus hook as well.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, that's bound to hit someone, but not able to do so. I think maybe trying to squeeze it past to get Artemis, but doesn't work out. Now, ult down for Pallet means that Team Wales honestly might have a little bit more confidence to step forward. Glory did use the Weaver's Wall, so not going to have that available, but Sparda now.
Sparda engaged on. He's the target that honestly Wales are happy with an engage onto. Bia has to back away, but Sparda goes down. 1 for 1 so far as Artemis low, forced to flash. Glory trying to get him damage down, but this Taliyah not doing that much just yet in the game. Levi going for a dive here, takes a couple of shots, but BeanJ! Oh, the shield comes through. Slayder's gone deep on this one and taken down. Glory turning this one around. They're so low on HP, but Kati protecting his team and finding the shots.
The tower was the 6th man for Team Wales, but Kati says, I can do double that damage as he's laid waste. The artillery against them is too hot to handle.
Artemis has his ultimate available and he's sticking around in case Kati tries for more. Doesn't pull the trigger. They're going to relax. They're going to reset. But losing 3 is tough for Wales.
And it starts off very well for Team Wales, right? You actually get the ultimate immediately down from BeanJ. They get the heal coming through from Sparda. He's able to get out. You get the pick onto the support. But it's this follow-up as Kati is just laying down waste with this accelerated shock blast. Levi overextends, but actually baits Team Wales in that a little bit too far. Slayder then baits himself in to try and get the kill. But again, Kati, full health, playing at range, blue buff in his pocket to keep himself up and healthy as well. He's just taking pop shots every opportunity they can as Team Wales try and hide behind the creeps.
Kati just hitting every single shot. 3 items finished off now. See Glory turning the damage down around as well. That Grandmaster's Might for Kiaya, I think literally saving it from that last threaded volley. Could have been a very different fight. But we've all seen what a Jayce can do when they're ahead, and Kati is feeling strong at this point in the game. Those shock blasts are going to rain hell on Team Wales.
And I think Team Wales are trying to cross map, but GAM are saying,
Artemis?
all right, let's do it.
You can't walk into the enemy jungle alone. It's a disaster for the Wales.
I mean, for Team Wales, they were looking going, oh, Dragon's up, therefore GAM do drag. But instead, GAM were like, no, we know that you're going to try and cross-map and go for top tower, so they called the bluff. They immediately run up river. Now you've caught out Artemis, no AD carry. You've got 2 members of Team Wales on towards Dragon. This has to be a steal, but Kati is already aware of that and has decided, no, BeanJ, you got to back away from this.
Kati is having none of it. Chases BeanJ out of the vicinity. I think we've all seen how that story ends with the Jarvan waiting over the wall. It's a Baron for a Dragon, a trade that definitely favors GAM. And that, you know, that one time was a win condition for Team Wales is now a silver lining in the Dragon Soul.
Well, that's the thing is, like, when you look towards Team Wales, it's again coming back to, hey, these picks, that means so much for GAM, and they're doing such a great job of playing off them. Pala flashing in just to set up perfectly. BeanJ's trying to get in to save his AD carry, but ends up using everything essentially to have to escape away in the back end of that. And now GAM, Baron up. You've got Kiaya with 2 items complete. He's going to be able to fight against Sparda in that bot side. You've got Slayder on the side who's going to have a ton of control over this mid lane push as well. This game becomes very tough for Team Wales to control.
Really does. Artemis doing a good job to dodge these shock blasts. Has to say, oh, hang on, Bia behind enemy line. Slayder already having to use that ultimate as Pala alone in the fray for the time being, but the Feathers get a good route. 5v4 now as they charge on forwards. Zhonya's comes out from Kati, but he's taken down regardless. Bia falling as well. It's absolute carnage on the Rift, but GAM coming out on top. Artemis under the tower and annihilated by Kiaya. He's back in form and he's back in the game.
Glory, you started it off. Now has to run for the hills. Kiaya will stun himself up as he goes under that. The flick back again onto the unraveled earth will mean that he has to step away. But that's GAM turning around the engaged Team Wales thought they had.
It felt like it was a one fight at the start there. Slayder especially pulling his feathers back, getting A, Artemis, but B, the root on one of the front line as well. Setting it all up. Kiaya can't quite finish this tower off. They won't get any bonus towers off of this fight, but GAM crucially just winning the fight.
Yeah, a lot of damage onto turrets though, and like this here, it's a nice attempt from BA. Slayder immediate ults Kati over the wall, and this is where again you start to see this turnaround. Ton of damage coming through from Slayder. Kati goes in here, but stuns himself as he goes in onto the unraveled earth, so then it actually ends up in a position where despite the Duskblade, he's not able to get back out. So this fight then revolves around Slayder, who full health has been tearing through everyone, and as Kiaya TP's in, it's just a matter of finishing off what Slayder has already set up.
I gotta say, the combination of Duskblade and the stun from the Unraveled Earth made me think it was a stopwatch.
Yeah, I thought it was Unraveled Earth. It might have just been B, but something stunned him up when he was in the Duskblade anyway.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. But either way, Team Wales now up against it. 6,000 gold lead for GAM. Feeling strong in this one, and specifically Slayder at this point. We already talked about how strong Kati is, but Slayder, 3.5 items on the Xayah. Like, you're a teamfight monster at this stage. And so far what we've seen is Team Wales can't close that gap, can't get onto him. And even when they do, he's still got his ultimate.
Well, looks like Team Wales is going to try and just look for the pick. They said we can't fight this, but can we fight Kiaya?
The pod is swimming south. Kiaya the target. He's going to walk into the jungle. They're not there. Are they still in the bush? I'm not even sure at this point. Kiaya could be in trouble. Oh, God, it's 10 stacked there. They're going to go for it. And they get a flash out of him.
Great reactions from Kiaya. I mean, the second he saw that, he was like, I'm out, peace. And I think a lot of it was like, hey, we're just going to wait for the counter-strike to be used so then we can try and finish him off. But ends up not paying off. Kiaya burns his flash. And still now you got GAM, who, because Team Wales invested all that pressure onto the bot side, we have to push mid, rotate up to get vision into this top side jungle, and may even look for this tier 2 as well, as the rest of Team Wales have to try and deal with, well, 1, shock blast from Kati, but 2, the push that's now happened in the mid lane.
Yeah. It's a Thornmail angle for Artemis at this point. Yeah, maybe not. We'll have to say. I mean, you could certainly go GA, just have a bit of armor in your kit, because Kati is hitting like a truck at this point. This will be the tier 2 takedown on the top side. And GAM, once again, this feels reminiscent of game 1, right? Where actually the early game going fairly well for Team Wales, but then mistakes happen and GAM get advantages off of punishing.
And it feels now that Team Wales have to get advantages off of the amount of stopwatches that are in their pockets, right? You've got 3 picked up already. Yeah. Sparda, BeanJ, Artemis, but it's kind of been responded to on the opposite side. 2 GAs now for Kati and Slayder, plus the stopwatch there for Kiaya. It feels like this next fight, both teams kind of realize is going to swing the game either completely done for GAM or start that walk back for Team Wales, especially if they can get the soul. So trying to see if they can look for a pick, but I don't think it's going to be the case, as GAM are just going to fight for mid-priority.
Kati's moving down. Okay, he's moving back up to the rest of his team. I wasn't sure if he was going to go for the wave there. It's Kiaya that moves over to the wave. He used his flash in the previous play. Levi moving over. I think GAM is suspicious, though. They're not going anywhere. They're not willing to go for it, but Levi could be a target as Sparda moves over. They're trying to set it up. Artemis goes forward, takes half of his health straight off the bat from Kati. It's Glory using that wall, but it doesn't really achieve too much. Sparda on the front line, knocked back out. His pallet now, tanking for his team. But Kiaya is onto the back line. He's got a double stun, but Artemis somehow gets out with his life. In the meantime, though, the front line is mincemeat. Slayder takes him apart, and GAM get a trade.
GAM find that moment. Glory, great Weaver's wall, but nobody was there to actually follow up. Glory as well, even in a terrible spot, so he's just got to TP immediately up to the top side, try and get some control over the wave so they can actually push these in. But look at the pings on mid lane. They realize, hang on a second, Glory's TP to top. They have to try and reset, and BeanJ's on bot side. We can try and get some priority in this mid lane.
GAM at this point, they've realized Team Wales, they're a pod. Stick it in a coffee machine, get a nice beverage.
I mean, this was nice from Team Wales to try and set this up, but as you say, GAM are kind of wary. They're like, hang on, we only see Sparda, we don't even see Glory. And this Weaver's wall is great, but Glory doesn't follow it. He hops off a blue buff, which means there's no one to actually get onto Kati, despite the fact that he was caught in a horrible spot. And Kiaya there follows up beautifully on the knock-up that comes through. Means that they get onto Artemis. There's that stopwatch we're talking about, but here's Baron already started, and Sparda's nowhere to be found.
He's nowhere near. TP finally coming in. He's into the pit here. It's going to be a 50-50. In fact, it's taken by Slayder. Pulling back the feathers here. Pallet on the front line. He's tanky at this point. Will get out with his life, but Kati's gone too far forward. That's GA on cooldown now as Kiaya trying to get the flank. Artemis turns gold and he's in all kinds of trouble, but flashes out to safety. 1 kill for Wales, but health bars are blinking, and Slayder knows it. See you later, he says, as Sparda forced to flash away. Double kill for Slayder.
And they still want to try and chase. GAM want to try and stop Glory from coming into this. That's the TP to cut off the members of Team Wales. GAM want to try and get these waves in check so they can actually crack up the base off this Sparda. Found by Levi. Able to hop, skip, and a jump over the wall. There's nobody here. I think Sparda's out.
In the meantime, Glory trying to get a reset off Kiaya, searching for it. 8 seconds on the clock to find that target. Sparda will get a bit of damage, and Glory found the flickback's not enough. And there's Slayder to secure another kill. And now massively delayed respawns on the solo laners.
And they're completely desynced. BeanJ going to be up with Artemis and BA, but everyone on GAM is going to be coming up. It's just Kati in 6 seconds. Then we will have to run from base, but it's still going to be a 4v3 for a significant portion of time. And the waves are coming in for a Jax, for a Xayah with 4.5 items or whatever the hell it is at this stage. Like, this tower is going to go down so quickly.
It's possible that this is game, honestly. Dagda, our Red Bull Baron power play could just be the last play of this game. Hook on in, feathers come straight back. BeanJ's down, Artemis forced back onto the fountain. Onto the Nexus towers they go. Kiaya is low though. Health bars are starting to blink on the side of GAM, but Slayder still untouched, still with a GA, and still just firing away. Slayder destroying Team Wales in this one as GAM go 2-1 up in the series. Sparda tries to save the day, but it's too little and it's too late.
And again, we're seeing that GAM want to keep Team Wales in their spot. Second seed from the VCS is Team Wales in second place in this game. It started off so well for them, controlling the early stages, finding those opportunities. But again, this desync when it comes towards setting up vision, getting control outside of the lanes, and BeanJ getting caught out repeatedly means that GAM find their moment to spring back into the game.
They certainly have, and what a spring back it was. And I feel like, again, very reminiscent of game number 1, where Team Wales actually looking pretty good in the early game. Couple of mistakes happen. GAM pounce. The second that Team Wales make a mistake against GAM, it feels like they start to dance in the game, you know. There's that tempo going in their favor, and it's play after play after play of that.
Yeah, and again, it's like you kind of find these moments for Team Wales where they're like, oh, let's try and use the Weaver's Wall to look and find that moment to try and strike back. But it was just a little bit out of position where it was like, oh, we can't quite get Glory there, or we can't quite get the follow-up that we need, either on the mid lane play or on the last Dragon play. And that's where GAM are just like, cool, as long as we play it slow, we play off of Kati's the Accelerate Shock Blast, we're going to be in a great spot.
Well, so far, 2-1 to GAM. And in the VCS finals, it was a 3-1 win for GAM in the end. Team Wales up against it now. Let's break this one down.
Sorry, I think I might have to break up
the
a fight
pace.
here.
You got something to say?
Are you okay, GB? Do you need some backup?
Listen.
Yeah, I'm listening. Explain yourself.
That was a mistake.
What part? There are multiple mistakes.
No, that was a great early game. I felt
That's true.
That was a cool early game.
Yeah.
And then we felt bad. We just felt
For
bad.
us?
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Now you got to play one more game.
This is
seriously.
amazing, right? We're settling our differences here on the analyst desk. I know it's been tough back here, you know, during the games, you know, arguments back and forth, who's banning what. But here's that great early game you're talking about. BeanJ, aka BeanJ, got off to an amazing start, Raz.
Oh, yeah.
I wanted to make Raz talk about BeanJ.
Can you talk about the early game? Sorry, I thought I was Team Wales. Raz, you take it away with Team Wales.
Okay, we got a great dive. All
Yeah?
right? So we wanted to get Slayder ahead because he is just the better player than Artemis. But then, unfortunately, BeanJ did punish us just a bit. This team fight around Drake hurt. That was a great Cataclysm and then EQ away to disengage. And then once the Taliyah started to join up, we started to get run down.
Listen, we were
Got
saying
a little bit.
on the broadcast, we're already saying here, it's over. Like, just looking at the early game. And this is just series-wide as well. It's been a lot back and forth with Levi actually getting ahead of BeanJ, but BeanJ's really, I think it really struck back in that game specifically, and on the Jarvan, we talked about it. He is just a huge threat on that pick specifically. So if we ignore the rest of the game, past, let's say, 16 minutes, I think this was a really good game for Wales.
I don't think the producers are really...
Yeah, I literally think Goldberg turned to me during the game. It's like, yeah, post 14 minutes, though. Like, right now, BeanJ is 4-0-3, but it's about to go very different. Then 2 deaths in a row. I think there were a lot of picks, I think, that happened inside the enemy jungle, some side lanes, a little bit of overextension in the mid.
Yeah, you know, like, BeanJ's he's a morning person, you know? He's up there early in the morning, ready to grind, and then by midday, it's like he's taking a little bit of a nap.
True.
He's forgetting a few things. Like
He's crashed a little
We've all
bit.
fallen asleep on The Office before, right, Raz?
Yes, maybe he needs a little Red Bull.
Well, maybe he does.
A little
if
pick
we
me
can
up.
get on the case with a Red Bull for being ASAP, that'd be great.
Yeah, well, we can take a look at, there was a crazy team fight inside of the mid lane. I think this is one where Slayder's even diving underneath the tower to finish off BeanJ.
Oh, absolutely. And I think this is where it also starts getting wrong, where it's just these random picks again. And I mean, this one should never really happen if you are Team Wales. It's not like it accumulates to anything after. It's just a lot of random kills.
Yeah.
But when you're on the team that's so solidified in the lead, you shouldn't start trading even. You should start winning the fights where you then translate it into an objective. You can still see there's a top side still standing. There's a tier 2 mid lane that can get really pushed in and they give you more vision around the Dragon or the Baron. And a lot of credit has to go to Kati. You know, I've been all about the glory hype. He's been my favorite. But, I mean,
Yeah, it's
Kati's been
it's tough to say.
outperforming him this series.
Yeah, I felt like that was
that was difficult.
That was Glory choking a little bit too.
Oh,
this series,
absolutely.
too. So that's a little.
My bad.
That's fair. That's fair. I think you and him are synonymous with each other.
Oh,
now.
God.
Oh, it's brutal. It's brutal.
One point that I wanted to make, the comp was actually much higher than expected. Talking about the draft a little bit, we saw a huge change up. We saw the Sejuani into J4. I was scared. Honestly,
you should have been. I was happy.
I was like, we let J4 go. He's actually fed off the early game. But then you could see in the prior fight, it was really difficult to get past the Sejuani. I thought Slayder had an excellent game in teamfighting because it was difficult for the Renekton or really anyone to get on top of him. Meanwhile, as you saw, the snipes. So just in general, great team fight. Really difficult to dive. We might see a change up going into the next game for just a top lane matchup. Just because I think generally Renekton is just harder to play out in team fights if you're not playing creatively. If you're playing front to back, it's tough.
That was really my biggest complaint about the pick as well, because laning phase, it still worked. And I was really surprised with how well Sparda actually piloted into the Kiaya Jax. But then you came around the team fight. It didn't offer any reliable CC that allowed them to play around it. I also think Glory into the Taliyah, has been super underwhelming. He's really not able to do anything with getting ahead in the laning phase or finding good place with the wall.
Yeah.
It seems like he's a bit uncomfortable on the pick, I'm not gonna lie. So yeah, those 2 picks has been my main, I don't know.
When you
weak
compare it,
points.
especially like the Cinder Orianna, where he's been so
Yes.
dominant on. I also think it's maybe a little bit peculiar that we go for, on GAM's side, the blind pick Jax, and then a Jayce later on. Like, this feels like a perfect Rumble angle if we're saving counter pick.
Yeah.
Kiaya's just been blinding top lane every single game. I'd love to see him with the counter because he's so strong in the top lane.
And I agree with that. I think a lot of it comes down to regional familiarity. Once you play against a team, maybe even in scrims coming into this event quite a bit, then you're like, okay, he's not going to play a Rumble. You're pretty aware of Sparda playing, the champions he wants to play. And then he just gets to a comfortable Jax picks, which he's done in the prior series. So he's like, this is my comfort zone. Earlier on, game 1 wasn't good, only because, made one mistake. So he just wanted to go back onto a pick that he has been comfortable on and just playing it differently.
Yeah, and to speak about that regional familiarity, I think that's why we see such a bloody game. Like, sometimes players are getting picked out in the mid game and getting lost in the sauce, but it means so much to advance to the next stage of Swiss and also just beat the team coming from your same region.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, just this year now, GAM is 8-2 against them, right, after what we've seen in the series here. So it has always been a rivalry that has favored GAM too. And it also shows, not just from laning phase with some of the different laners, but I also think once you reach that mid game, GAM is more clear in what they want to do, and Wales at times just look lost on the map. And it's 2 games now where we've also just seen multiple members, BeanJ, Artemis specifically on the Kaiser, where he just randomly walked into that bush before Baron, where you just, it's not a fight, it's not a macro play, it's just individual mistakes suddenly just giving the edge to the enemy.
Yeah, and what I'm seeing here is that apparently Team Wales has selected red side. I actually would have expected blue side just because Slayder coming into the series I thought was going to be the target. But he's been getting Xayah pretty reliably, and they've been playing towards bot lane and looking for dives and getting him ahead and putting Artemis behind. And even if topside has been working out for you, you have been so much more comfortable throughout the year playing towards Artemis and honestly relying on his individual strength as a team fighter. And I think when Slayder is put behind, he really falls behind. So I would love to see that. Not going to happen now that they've chosen red side. So I want to see what the adaptation is.
Both teams confident in their prep, sticking to the same sides on both of them. Well, GAM Esports are just 1 win away from repeating the story of the VCS Summer Finals as they prepare match point with a spot in the World Swiss stage up for grabs.
Should be able to finish this one. No flash available for him. There's the knock-up. The counter-strike comes on through. Sparda wanted the solo kill. BeanJ, he'll get an assist on this one. But it is all Sparda all day long, Dagda. Tuck still surviving the Gorge Ring, and no! Kicked sideways. It's Kati to finish that one off. And Glory goes down. They're so low on HP, but Kati protecting his team. Slowly but surely clearing this wave. Here we go. CC chain comes on in. He needs to sustain, and he gets it. Dashing on our Slayder, flashes to find the kill.
Red Bull gives you wings.
Unlock extra loot with the Worlds Event Pass. Every Event Pass purchase will add to the prize pool for Worlds 2023. There's a lot to celebrate at this time of year.
Huh? What is this?